Welcome to Bina classes. Today I am going to start to develop one more video for you students, and I expect that this video will help you a lot for your incoming term 1 examinations. Okay, so let us start from here. First question: decrease in the value of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency. The options given here: appreciation of domestic currency, revolution of domestic currency, depreciation of domestic currency, none of this. See here, the decrease in the value of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency. The answer will be your this one, depreciation of domestic currency. Okay, this is your right answer, right option. Now let's start question number 2. What is said here? Appreciation of domestic currency encourage imports, exports, foreign trade, all of the above. Actually, appreciation of domestic currency encourage import, not export. Okay, then question number 3. Question number 3, what's given here? Economic transaction includes, options given here: visible items, invisible items, unilateral transfer, all of the above. Your option will be all of the above, because we know economic transaction include all these 3 items. Okay, next is your question number 4. Dash goods are purchased during the year by a firm from another for the purpose of further production or resale. What type of goods are purchased? Capital goods, consumption goods, or intermediate goods? It will be capital goods. That is, capital goods are purchased during the year by a firm from another for the purpose of further production, that is capital goods. Next question is your question of 5. Import and export of goods is called visible trade, invisible trade, nominal trade, none of the above. We know it is called, it's given a goods, visible trade. Okay. Next question is your question number 6. Surplus in current account arises when? Surplus in current account arises when credit side is more than debit side, debit side is more than credit side, debit side equals to credit side, none of the above. The answer will be your credit side is more than debit side, then only you will have surplus. Next question is your question number 7. Import and export of services is called what? Invisible trade, visible trade, nominal trade, none of the above. We know it is services, so it will be your invisible trade. Next question is your question number 8. What is said here? Balance of payment is an accounting statement that records the economic, options given here: resident and non-resident, resident and rest of the world, non-resident and rest of the world. Your correct option is your resident and rest of the world. Next question is your question number 9. Deficit in capital account. Deficit in capital account occurs when credit side is more than debit side, debit side is more than credit side, debit side is equal to credit side, none of the above. It is deficit capital account. Naturally, it will be debit side is more than credit side. Next question is your 10. Which transactions are the transaction by the central bank, Reserve Bank of India, to maintain the disequilibrium in balance of payment account? It's given autonomous, accommodating, official reserve, all of the above. We all know autonomous and accommodating do not work here. It is your official transactions or official reserve which only works here. Next question is your question 11. The demand curve for foreign exchange is vertical, parallel to y-axis, upward sloping, something like supply curve, horizontal, that is parallel to x-axis, or downward sloping. Demand curve for foreign exchange is downward sloping, that is vertically you take rate of exchange and horizontally you take demand for foreign exchange. So it is downward sloping or negatively sloped or inverse relationship in between exchange rate and the demand. What's given here? Dash is not car and export. Options given here: sales of cars abroad, purchase of foreign components, intermediate goods, final goods. So the option will be your B. Purchase of foreign components is not cars and export. Okay. Next question 13. Managed floating exchange rate is a system in which the government allow the exchange rate to determined by market forces. None of the above. The central bank allow the exchange rate to determined by the market forces. Next, the central bank or government allow the exchange rate to determined by the market rate. The correct option will be your D. Here both the central government and central banks are involved, okay, in case of managed floating. Next question is your 14. Exchange rate for currencies is determined by supply and demand in system of fixed exchange rate, flexible exchange rate, constant, government regulated. The very clear points given here: supply and demand, automatically it will be flexible exchange rate. Then comes your question of 15. A deficit in balance of trade indicates, remember it can be deficit, it can be surplus. Here is given deficit. A deficit in balance of trade, BOT, indicates what? The import of goods are greater than exports. None of the above. That the import of goods are less than the exports. That the import of goods are equal to the exports. It's given deficit. Naturally, the import is more than export. Then you will have deficit balance of trade. Okay. Next question is your 16. The downward sloping demand curve for the foreign exchange rate reflects. I repeated the points there. The downward sloping demand curve for the foreign exchange reflects what? Direct relationship, exponential relationship, inverse relationship, indirect relationship. It will be inverse relationship, or sometimes it is called negative relationship also. Okay. Next is your 17. The other things remaining unchanged when in a country the price of domestic currency rises. Price of domestic currency rises, national income is likely to fall, likely to rise, both A and B, net not affected. The option is your likely to fall. Naturally, when the value decreases, national income will decrease. Question 18. Balance of payment accounting uses which standard of counting? Double entry system, single entry system, accrual system, or cash basis system? It will be your double entry system. That is, you have to make the entry in both the sides, debit and credit. That's called double entry system. Question 19. An Indian real estate company receives rent from Google in New York. This transaction would be recorded on dash side of account: credit, current account; debit, capital account; credit, capital account. Which one? An Indian real estate company receives rent from Google in New York. This transaction would be recorded on credit and capital account. Okay. Next, question number 20. Dash rate of exchange is that rate which is determined by the supply demand forces in the foreign exchange market. It is also known as dash. It means there are two dash: flexible exchange rate of free market, or fixed exchange rate floating, or fixed and flexible? Okay, your answer will be A. Flexible exchange rate of exchange is that rate which is determined by the supply demand forces in the foreign exchange market, is also known as free exchange rate. So these are the MCQs we have done for you, and previously also we have done a lot for you, and we will be progressing further, and I hope that these MCQs will help you a lot in your term 1 examinations. Thank you.